I received an email a couple of days ago from a young lady, and she went through an unfortunate situation, and she wants my advice. The main thing that she's struggling with is forgiveness. So first, I'm going to go over some of the basic things that the email said, and then after that, I'm going to give you some advice of what I think you should do. I'm a 21-year-old student at an HBCU, and earlier this year, I was abused by a woman who I consider to be a friend and mentor. She's a former student and was a group leader for a young women's organization I became involved with. At a weekend retreat out of town, she became physically aggressive when we were alone and naked in a shower area. It became very awkward and intimate, and I was left with a battered body and spirit. It's been very difficult trying to get any kind of justice. She's a permanent figure here, especially in the Black community. She's often featured on local media, so I'm almost constantly reminded of her, and my anger and frustration is sometimes overwhelming. I know that I can trust in God to eventually take me through this, but I'm having such a hard time forgiving her. First of all, I do want to say that I am so sorry about what happened to you. And after I read your email, I could feel your hurt. Anytime someone forces you to do something against your will, that's awful. And the reason why is because you should have a choice. What happened to you bothered me in so many different ways. This particular lady is in a leadership position. And when you are in a leadership position, you have to be really careful. You don't want to take advantage of anyone. And God does hold leaders responsible for their actions. The tips that I'm going to give you in this video, if you listen to them, they will actually bring you healing. Some of the things that I'm going to share with you is going to be hard for you to follow, but I guarantee you, if you do, it will change your life. I know you already know this because you did mention it. You know that you have to forgive this lady. And that is a start to forgiveness. Forgiveness is hard, but what I have learned from my personal experience, that areas that I am weak in, that's when I lean on God, and He actually helped me. He gives me strength. I went through a situation in my life a couple years ago, and I had to forgive. And I won't go into details exactly about what happened to me, but it broke my heart. I was devastated. I felt so alone, and I felt used. So one of the first things that you're going to have to do is to pray about it. And when you pray, tell God how you feel. I have learned that when I talk to God, I talk to Him just like I'm talking to my best friend. He knows everything anyways. So it's nothing that I can tell Him that He won't be surprised. He already knows your heart and what you're feeling and what you're thinking. Pray to God and ask Him to help you to forgive her. And the next tip I'm going to give you, it sounds ridiculous, but this is what you should do. After you pray for yourself, start praying for her. The Bible tells us that we should pray for our enemies. Pray for the ones that persecuted us. With myself, in the situation that I briefly mentioned, I prayed for the individual that hurted me. And at first when I prayed, I didn't mean it because I still was upset about it. But I noticed eventually when I continued to do that, when I prayed, I started meaning what I said. And that is when my heart started changing towards that person. The reason why that you want to forgive is because of the fact that you don't want what happened to you to mess up the rest of your life. You want to be able to move forward and be free. In the Bible, when it talks about how that all things works together for our good, even though in life when bad things happen to you and you don't have no control over it, and you may wonder how in the world this can work out for my good, but I am a witness that it does. The situation that happened to me, it worked out for my good. It changed my mindset. It actually transformed me. It took me a while for me to actually be able to forgive. And how you know that you've actually forgiven a person is that when that particular thought of what happened comes to your mind, you're not going to feel upset about it anymore. It's not going to hurt you anymore. Ask God to renew your mind. And the reason why I say that is because every so often you are going to think about what happened and you are going to feel the hurt again. And also you're going to even feel the anger from what happened to you. All of that's normal. But you are going to need God to renew your mind, to help you to think right. You're going to have to start practicing thinking on purpose. And what I mean is that when something unfortunately happened to you and it was devastating, it's so easy to think about it on a daily basis. But what's so bad about it is that you won't be able to move forward by keep thinking about it. And it's going to put you in a bad mood. I want you to heal. And so one of the main ways that you are going to be able to heal is that you're going to have to train yourself how to think. A couple of years ago, I read this book by Joyce Myers called Battlefield of the Mind. And that book was life-changing for me. I have read it 3 times. And what I like about the book is that it teaches you how to think. It teaches you to think on purpose. And so one thing that I had to do is I had to teach myself how to think. And how you teach yourself how to think is you have to pay attention to your thoughts. Because even when you train yourself to think about positive things, every so often that negative thought is going to come back to you. And so what I did is whenever the negative thought came back to me of what happened is that I would thank God. I would thank Him for bringing me out of that. And I would turn that negative thought into something positive. The positive part was that God delivered me. I was no longer tormented by that anymore. I was able to leave that in my past. In order to be able to move forward, you don't want to allow bitterness or hatred to dwell in your heart. I don't know if you have talked to a psychiatrist about what happened to you, but if you haven't, I think it will be good. And if you feel that you won't be comfortable with actually talking to someone about it, I think it would be great for you if you would start journaling about it. Journaling is very good to process the way you feel. And you can write down what's on your mind. It would actually help you to heal. Forgiveness don't happen overnight. I believe what's the hardest part about forgiving is that you're going to always remember it. But I do want to encourage you and let you know that even though that you remember it, you don't have to dwell on it. And not only that, God can give you such a peace inside until when you do think about what happened to you, you won't feel bad anymore. It won't hurt anymore. And I also want to say this too. A lot of times God allow us to go through certain things because later on it actually turned into a ministry for you. You will be able to help other young women that actually have been in that same situation, and the reason why you will be able to help them because you know how it feels. So I want to encourage you not to allow bitterness to get in your heart. Ask God to help you not to resent her. In the Bible, it talks about how that vengeance is mine. To hold your peace, wait on the Lord. If you do what's right, things will work out in your favor. The key thing to do is to trust in God and put it in His hand. And even ask Him to give you wisdom of want you to handle it legally. I hope that some things that I said in this video will be a help to you. And I want to mention it again. If you listen to the tips that I have given you, they will transform your life. And I want to encourage you and just to let you know that God feels your hurt. And if you allow Him, He will mend your broken heart and He will take the pain away. This was just a stumbling block in your life. Don't allow it to dictate the rest of your life. You are young. You are strong. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. I hope I said something in this video that was a help to you. If so, leave me a comment. If there's something particular that you would like for me to do a video about, or if you need my advice about something, you can email me at chatswithflo@gmail.com. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.